If you're getting to know the plants that live where you live, a really nice skill to practice in the wintertime is learning to identify trees by their bark. This is a sycamore, which might also be called a plane tree depending on where you live. It has smooth white bark further up on the branches, which down on the trunk and on some of the larger branches is overlaid by this patchy brown bark. And you can recognize them a mile away. This one is a hackberry, which has warty bark, and the bumps are made up of layers and layers of cork. This is a grapevine. There are lots of woody vines in our area, but grapevine is the only one that has this bark that is striated along the length of the vine and peels off very easily, often on its own. This is a cherry tree. It has crackly flakes of bark which get larger as you go up the trunk. Sometimes you'll see sort of gummy exudate like this, and on the larger flakes and on the smooth branches you'll see these horizontal markings called lenticels on the bark. This one's a little bit harder. Walnut trees have bark that is deeply furrowed but that has cross-linking between the sections of bark, so they split and rejoin basically, and it might take a few times of seeing that before you really come to recognize it. But one thing that can give it away as walnut is if you look up and you see mistletoe growing on the branches, then it's very likely a walnut tree. Locust trees are another more intermediate one. Like the walnut trees, they have furrowed bark, but in contrast to the walnut trees, the furrows are much wider. You can like fit your fingers down inside of them, which you'd not be able to do usually on a walnut tree. And the color of them is paler. And then rather than having mistletoe growing on it, you will often find these shelf fungi growing on them. This one is eastern red cedar. It has fibrous bark that can easily be peeled away from the trunk, and this stuff can be spun and used for all sorts of fibery applications. It doesn't make a very strong rope or anything, but it can be used for basketry or filling or lots of other things. And another easy way to recognize that it is eastern red cedar is that if you look at the branches and they are covered in eastern red cedar type leaves, because it is an evergreen plant.